Welcome to Enterprise Monitoring Analytics, Autoscaling with AppDynamics, ServiceNow, and vRA. I'm Max Anderson, a Senior Technical Architect here at AHEAD. Today we're going to be looking at autoscaling with those technologies. And where these technologies fit is right here, where we have AppDynamics as our APM. Events are being driven down to ServiceNow. ServiceNow then kicks off events inside of vRA, which then spins up a VM, and then Puppet installs software that we need. The problem that we're trying to solve for is if we find unexpected spikes or load in our application. Here are some of the tools that we're using within the stack here. VMware for vSphere. We're using Netflix open source stack mostly for Eureka for discovery layer. ServiceNow for handling our events. Spring Boot, just a simple way to write some code that can do something quickly. And Puppet Labs to be able to install our code onto the VMs that are being spun up. Then AppDynamics is our triggering agent that will tell us whenever our load goes higher than our thresholds. Go ahead and start this off with taking a look here in AppDynamics. We have an application. It's our AHEAD lab demo. And we're getting 199 calls a minute on average, mostly because we had a spike here earlier. We want to set up an alert or a health rule that will go out there. And whenever we have a critical criteria, which would be 400 calls, more than 400 calls a minute, we'd like something to happen. And what we want to have happen is this action right here. So this is going to go out and call some RESTful API inside of ServiceNow and create an event in its logs. And then ServiceNow will go out there and go ahead and do its process to make sure an event's been logged and monitored and all the proper processes followed. Then vRA will go out and spin up a machine and install our code to make sure that we have enough resources to successfully support our clients. Okay, so let's take a peek inside of ServiceNow here. We have a business event that we've created. And whenever we get this item in our event log, we're going to go ahead and trigger an event. And it's going to call vRA and run this catalog item. Inside of vRA, we're going to go take a peek here. And we have our EMA demo app, which is what we're calling from ServiceNow. And as you can see, it's just configured to spin up a VM, and then we've got some Puppet actions that are going to be triggered. Basically, it's install our code. So let's go out there, and since we can see in AppDynamics, we have very little load on this application right now. 197 calls a minute, which means that we won't be triggered at this point in time. And we can verify that by looking at our health rules. Everything looks green on this health rule that we have here. So I'm going to go and kick off some traffic here. Let's get enough going that it won't take long. Okay. Now, over the next couple seconds here, this will be triggering off more load. We should see that popping up inside of AppDynamics here, and it'll take a little bit. AppDynamics will report. And we have our calls per minute, which are now up to 204. And this might take a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and pause and fast forward in a second. So now we're seeing sizable load coming in, and we only need 400 transactions a minute to get triggered. So now we're at 1600 transactions a minute. So let's go ahead and take a look at our health rule here and see if it is been triggered, and sure enough, it's been triggered. So now what we should see inside of ServiceNow is, let me refresh this. There we go. Now we have an event that's been triggered inside of ServiceNow. It registers everything, gives us an event and all the information that comes with it. So this is good for auditing purposes and all that good stuff. Now, we're going to go ahead and take a look over here inside of vRA, and now we actually have an app up and running. So let's take a peek in Eureka, which is where we're going to see this application pop up. Right now we only have one server, which is the one that's been handling the load. And shortly, whenever this provisioning finishes up, we should see a new server responding in on the Eureka cluster. This will take a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and pause, and we'll be back whenever this comes back online. So now we come back and we see that our provisioning process has been completed. All the code has been installed, started up, and checked and make sure everything's up and running. So now, if we go to our Eureka console, now we see two servers up and running. So here's the one that the process that was kicked off from ServiceNow to vRA created. This was a very simple scaling automation that can be done if you have this tool set. If you have any interest in this and you would like to learn more about it, you can contact us at Think Ahead and come learn more about it and talk to our engineers. Thank you.